Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 95, the only new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. Today, I'm very happy to be reviewing the artist Mr. Oizo. That's how you could pronounce it, or you could pronounce it Oizo, which is the way that you pronounce this word in French. I am a French professor, and I love it whenever there's any French out there. That's the word for bird. But Mr. Oizo spells it O-I-Z-O. So I don't know. I pronounce it both ways. And the album has the French title Rythme Plat, which translates roughly to flat rhythm. This is a reference to his first single released 20 years ago called Flat Beat. And it's interesting because I really like Mr. Oizo. I mean, I go through all the new music. I'm recording this on a Friday, and I go through all the new music, and I scan through everything on Tidal, and I've never heard of them, never heard of them. Oh, I heard of them, I don't know them. I've heard of them, I don't like them. I've never heard of them, never heard of them. And then pow, Mr. Oizo. I really liked his music, primarily because he seems to be like someone with a sense of humor who also likes to aggravate. His music is generally a little bit grating, a little bit grimy. He works a lot with like break beats and like really making things jagged and somewhat unpleasant. But then he always has a sense of humor about himself. His album from a couple years ago, All Wet, is just great. Track through track is just an excellent, superb electronic album with many great guest appearances, catchy songs, and it's one of my favorite electronic albums, I guess, of this decade. I've been saying that a lot lately, but there's a lot of good electronic music this decade. So this album, and I can't call it an album. I can't even call it an EP. It's 11 minutes long. It's 4 songs. But it's worth studying because I want to. I like Mr. Oizo. I wanted a chance to think about him and talk about him and what he does. So first of all, let's just start with, we'll just go through each of the tracks, just a little bit of each, We'll hear Rythme Plat here. If I can figure out how to play it.
Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat.
So first of all, you notice that that Casio bossa nova rhythm, which is popping up all over the place. As a matter of fact, the last track of that Stephen Malkmus album I reviewed, I believe that's based on a automatic bossa nova rhythm from Casio. So it's kind of funny having that complicated rhythm mixed in with these words just saying flat rhythm, flat rhythm, flat rhythm, rythme plat.
Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat. Rythme Plat.
And it goes on like that. I'll play you a little bit later in the song so you get an idea of what it sounds like. It has that really kind of grimy, gritty keyboard sound that Mr. Oizo really likes, mixed in with these words. And listen how the words start to fall apart. And it becomes clear that this album is partly about the nature of words and the way that they make their own rhythms. The next song is called Viande, Légumes, Véhicule, which means meat, vegetables, and vehicles. Don't know. He's a weird guy. I really like him because he's a super weird guy. And you hear that same kind of idea of he's playing with the sounds of words and the rhythms that they make.
Viande, légumes, véhicule. Viande,
But it has this mysterious quality to it. All his music does, where you don't quite know what he's going for, but he creates an atmosphere and layers his music enough that you just want to keep listening.
Viande, légumes, véhicule. Viande, légumes, véhicule. Viande, légumes,
Okay, I'm going to stop now, even though I like dancing with this guy.
viande,
So that's the beginning of the album. It's these nice kind of, you could almost consider them like retro or something, because they're not trying to sound like new electronica. They sound a little bit like the old electronica that he used to make. And then comes maybe my favorite track on the album, Dolce Vita. Now my favorite Mr. Oizo song of all time is a track called No Tony, which is on his All Wet album, that features the Italian rapper Phra, F-H-R-A. And there's just something about that song. I'll put a link in it in this one, even though it's to his old album. I don't know Italian. I don't know everything that he's saying. I mean, I can figure it out a little bit. But there's something just sort of like ethereal about the way this guy raps. He's just so easy, and the lyrics are they just flow, and the way that he talks, it has like this really, you can really re-listen to it. And this next track here feels like it's the follow-up to that. And I'll play you a little bit of that. It even has kind of like a vaporwave feel to it, where it feels like you're a little bit stuck in the 80s. Play a little bit of Dolce Vita here. You hear that humor and aggravation, right? I'll play a little bit later in the song so you can hear how his voice sounds. So it's nice. It's not aggravating. It's just kind of humorous. It's this follow up, and I feel like maybe Phra and Mr. Oizo will keep making albums, and I hope they do. The track ends with the song Nuke, N-U-Q-U-E, which means neck. I don't know why it's called that. It starts off with someone pronouncing his name properly in English, which is how I realized that it was Wazo and not Oizo. And it's just a very nice, offbeat, kind of grimy song in keeping with the rest. It's 11 minutes, it's simple, it's lighthearted, it's grimy, it's fun. It's a good introduction to Mr. Wazo if you've never heard Mr. Oizo, and I really suggest giving him a shot, giving him a listen, if you like electronic music at all, or especially French electronic music. Here's the last track, just a brief sound. So you hear how it develops and it layers in and it gets going and you get that kind of fun rhythm. So I hope he's releasing a new album soon. I look forward to reviewing it. My dog did eat the foot of this Planet of the Apes bobblehead. That's the story behind that. So until next time, new music is the fountain of mental youth. There's the camera. Well, I've never done it with that finger before. Ooh, maybe I can like pinch and hit stop.